So into the arena steps Carlos Gongora, a terrific professional, two-time Olympian, having represented Ecuador across 2 Olympic Games. Outstanding boxer, taking 2 Pan Am Games bronze medals in 2007 and 2011. Carlos Gongora up the 3 steps, having competed at the Olympic Games in Beijing and at 2012 in London. Back in the ring for the first time since June of last year. 25 fight professional record under his belt.
Встречайте, Pavel Silyagin.
His opponent is the undefeated professional Pavel Silyagin. 16 bouts as a professional, 15 wins, 7 of them inside the distance, 1 draw, 0 defeats, and he too brings in a glittering set of accolades from the 3-round format of IBA boxing. Commentated on him winning 2015 World Championship bronze at 81 kilograms, winning 3 contests out of 4, and it took the estimable figure of Julio Cesar La Cruz, the Cuban maestro, to keep him out of the final. La Cruz en route to one of his 5 IBA World Championship golds.
Килограммов 700 граммов. Ему 35 лет, и он не терял времени даром. Дважды он представлял Эквадор на Олимпийских играх в 2008 и 2012 годах. А в 2020 завоевал титул чемпиона мира по версии IBA.PRO во 2-м среднем весе. Его обширный профессиональный рекорд составляют 25 поединков. В их числе 22 победы, 17 из которых одержаны нокаутом и 3 поражения. Таков его путь. Из города Тена, Республики Эквадор. Direttamente desde la selva de Tena, Napo, el guerrero del Ecuador, Carlos Carlitos Way Gongora. В золотом углу ринга русский боксер из столицы Сибири. Ему 31 год, рост 186 сантиметров, вес 79 килограммов, 150 граммов. Сдержанный и спокойный, он никого из себя не строит. Зато построил дом, растит 2 детей и продолжает строить карьеру. В его активе 16 поединков, 15 побед, 7 из которых одержаны нокаутом и 1 ничья. Родом из Новокузнецка, он прибыл боксировать из Новосибирска. Без лишних слов, на ринг в Бресте Павел Silyagin. Рефери этого поединка Валерий Пастухов, Молдова.
So Mr. Valery Pastuhov with the final instructions as we take a look at the quick tail of the tape ahead of this battle between experienced boxers. And we are underway. 2 incredibly accomplished, experienced figures facing off in a bout made at 79.4 kilograms. That is just above the light heavyweight limit of 175 pounds. It's scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds. And the southpaw wearing the black trunks trimmed with gold is Carlos Gongora, 2-time Olympian from Ecuador. He's just taken a cracking combination punctuated by a left hook from the man wearing the white trimmed with gold, and that is Pavel Silyagin, 31 years of age. He too, so much experience under his belt with that 2015 World Championship bronze and 2015 European Games bronze. Undefeated in 16 professional contests. The man who just scored with that right jab to the body. Beautiful movement around the target from Silyagin. Carlos Gongora back in the ring for the first time since June of last year, when he dropped his 3rd contest. But to give you an idea as to how good a boxer Gongora is, the 3 losses that he's dropped on his record came against Lester Martinez, who's just backed up by Silyagin there. Christian Mbili, the former Olympian, who's continuing to rumble his way through the professional ranks. And Lerone Richards, Sniper the Boss, And the rematch between Joe Parker and Derek Chisora. I was ringside for his sojourn into Manchester back in December 2021. Nice right jab upstairs, left uppercut to the body from Gongora. Gongora just making his man fall short with a jab, and both men pivoting around the target at mid-range, just beyond the halfway stage of this opening round. Beautiful corkscrew right hand, the final shot on that three-punch combination, and Silyagin flying through the gears once again as he pinned Gongora to the ropes. So Gongora operating out of that southpaw stance. Looking to keep his foot on the outside of that of Silyagin. Silyagin doing an outstanding job moving around the target and then closing the distance on quick feet. Wonderful punch picking once again from Silyagin. Going in search of the southpaw left was Gongora, but again able to ghost away around the clock face was Silyagin, and moving laterally wonderfully to his left to keep that jab going while remaining out of reach of the southpaw backhand of Gongora. High quality on display in that first round, and this man finding his range immediately. Some of the action from the first round, exchange of jabs, but keeping the attack going to perhaps have the final word was Silyagin. But no panic in evidence from either boxer. You'd expect nothing less given their level of attainment both during their three-round careers and in the professional ranks. Already highlighted the quality and position of your career you need to be at if you hope to get the best of Carlos Gongora. Fancied for a medal in his first Olympic appearance in 2008 in the 75 kilogram middleweight division, but was bested at the quarter-final stage by Vijender Singh with that historic run to the medal podium for India in the Chinese capital. Burst of featherlight punches, but plenty of activity from Silyagin, is scoring with a good right jab and left cross to the body is Gongora. His second Olympic appearance, it was the outstanding Kazakh boxer Adalbek Nizimbatov who came away with silver, who bested him in the round of 16. From Ecuador, but long-time resident in Boston, Massachusetts. The former holder of the IBA.PRO world title. Beautiful work to the body, rib rattling shots slung in from Silyagin. Oh, that's a cracking right hand lead to jolt the head back, and then work dropping down to the body is Silyagin. Gongora being put under sustained pressure here. Trying to keep his composure, but he's got to show the referee that he's not being overwhelmed and that he remains in control of his wits and his senses. Intelligently claims his man around the waist, because that was a really good passage of the round produced by Pavel Silyagin. Showing variety once again as he scored effectively both upstairs and downstairs. Wonderful left jab, snaking in between the high-held gloves of Gongora. And Gongora consistently being beaten to the punch here. Now hooks getting around the rear of his defenses once again. to swivel his head sideways, and then another jab through the middle, and his defenses are proving rather porous through this passage of the second round. So how will he elect to play it? Looking for the southpaw left, but couldn't find a range, Gongora. Good work to the body once again from Silyagin as he seeks to bring those hands down to open up the avenues of opportunity to the head. Lead left hook is a beautiful shot from Silyagin once again. Well, I suggested that he found his range immediately in the open round, and he only demonstrated that further in round number 2, did Pavel Silyagin. Wonderful variety and evidence during the course of that second round, and that gesture from Gongora, I could interpret that as signs of bad body language. He's turning his palms to the ring lights as if to say, what do I do with this guy? Because he was touched up and scored upon with practically every shot in the book to both head and body. Wonderful 3 minutes of boxing from Pavel Silyagin, who was in complete control through 2 completed rounds.
Третий раунд. Round 3.
Round 3 of an IBA professional contest that is scheduled for 8. And it hasn't quite been one-way traffic, but it's been this type of performance from Pavel Silyagin so far, right on cue, exploding with a volley of punches, and Gongora unable to respond with any type of consistent offense. Reverse 1, 2, 3 again, right hand, left hook, followed by another right hand. The left hook sneaking around the high-held southpaw right of Gongora. But his defenses have been breached on a regular basis through the 2 completed rounds and 50 seconds of this third round so far. There's a good southpaw left from Gongora. Former IBO super middleweight champion of the world with perhaps his best scoring shot of the entire contest. But leading off once again as he spins around the target is Silyagin, then drives in a right hand to the body of Gongora. Gongora, 35 years of age, as he goes in search of the southpaw left, not too far away, but he is having more success when he quickens his feet and kept the attack going. So just inaccurate with the southpaw left, Gongora, beyond the halfway stage of this third round. Dipping at the knees now and showing head movement, which is good from Carlos Gongora, because when he was trying to remain upright and on his toes, he was scored upon far too frequently from his corner, for his corner's liking. So making an adjustment, as you would expect a boxer of his experience and ability to do, and crucially, he still has the capacity to demonstrate that ability to adapt. None other than the great Joe Louis, longest reigning heavyweight champion in history, said that he knew his time was up. He characterized himself as an old fighter when he knew what to do, could see what to do, but simply couldn't execute in time to avoid the incoming fire, resulting in that iconic image of him being draped over the bottom rope. The Brockton blockbuster Rocky Marciano in his ill-advised comeback. Beautiful work to the body once again by Pavel Silyagin. Closing seconds of the third round. A better round for Carlos Gongora, but I don't think he's done nearly enough to win the round. But showing his experience, showing signs of competitive spirit, and making the adjustment after Pavel Silyagin fairly dominated the second round in particular, and was the clearly better boxer in round 1 as well. Well, Gongora with more success during the course of that third round, as evidenced by that sharp, straight southpaw left. His best shot of the entire contest as we move into round number 4. So referee Mr. Valery Pastuhov just sending both boxers to the neutral corner before calling time to begin the 4th round. Wonderful right jab from Gongora. He seemingly has found his distance now. Silyagin attempting to counter with the right hand to the body, but it was inaccurate. Heads coming dangerously close together there in this battle between orthodox and southpaw boxer. Thankfully, there was no clash and no harm done. But Gongora altogether more active. Remember, at the end of the second round, was it? He turned his palms up to the ring lights as if to say, what do I do with this guy? But in round number 3 and here in round number 4, seems an altogether different boxer. More dynamic, varying his height as he seeks to get forward over that southpaw lead right leg. Not too far away with the lead right jab is Silyagin, teasing in and out on his toes. Reaching for that left jab and wasn't too far away with it. Counter right hook is a wonderfully educated shot from Gongora, and he had the final word with a left cross during the course of what was a high-quality exchange. But Silyagin keeping the attack going, making it a two-phase attack, and just seeking to put Gongora under pressure near the ropes. Now the action back at center ring. But a wonderful passage of the bout. High level in evidence from both of these accomplished operators. Just beyond the halfway stage, lead left hook got behind the right glove of Gongora from Silyagin. Right hand down the middle from Silyagin, followed by a double jab which snaps the head back of Gongora. And he's got to get that head movement going again, which he started demonstrating in the 3rd and kept going here in the 4th. But now it's Silyagin getting on top again with another good passage of the round. So Silyagin was seeking to make another trip around the clock face there, but instead ended up falling into his man. So I think Carlos Gongora putting his perspective across to the referee, Mr. Valery Pastuhov there, saying, well, I'm not holding. But that's his interpretation, and on the resumption, it's Silyagin who has got the better of the action. And now Silyagin momentarily turning southpaw as he walks his feet across, spinning in the pocket once again. Fantastic pivot move to spin around his opponent, and all of the time Gongora is having to readjust and go in pursuit of his man once more. That takes time off the clock, and in this round, time hasn't been on his side, because that's a terrific response by Pavel Silyagin. After Carlos Gongora sought to get himself back into the contest in the 3rd, I don't think he did enough to take it, but it was his best round to date, punctuated by a cracking left cross out of the southpaw stance. But Silyagin just asserting his authority once again with some wonderful quality during the course of that 4th round. Perfect judgment of distance in that 3-shot combination with the right cross and final jab to end the 3-shot salvo. So into the second half of this contest we go. Pavel Silyagin's successes in the 3-round code of IBA tournament boxing came all over the world. But his professional career has been boxed exclusively in his homeland. Here he is fighting on the professional stage in Belarus as he scores with another jolting left jab. Keeps the jab going once again. Carlos Gongora resides in Boston, Massachusetts, despite being a proud representative of the South American nation of Ecuador. World Championship appearances at the USA 2008, Hamburg 2009, and Baku, Azerbaijan 2011. didn't have the privilege of commentating on Chicago 2007. That only World Championships I've not covered in some time. It was ringside in Baku to see Gongora. And again, it's Silyagin always seeking to have the final word in these exchanges. But no panicking evidence from Gongora, but into the second half of the bout, I suggest that he's going to have to pick up the pace here, because he must be trailing with 4 completed rounds in the book. Again, lead left hook countered smartly by Gongora. The lead left hook came from Silyagin. Again, spinning in the pocket and getting the better of that exchange, because it was a sneaky southpaw left scored by Gongora. Clever right uppercut followed by left uppercut and right hook from Gongora. And now he is picking up the pace, drives his man back with a right cross, a right jab and left cross. Silyagin may have been momentarily stunned by that, but he answered back just to keep Gongora honest and prevent him from getting greedy. But that's the type of quality we were anticipating in this contest, given the quality of both men, the accomplishments of both men. Again, 12-round distance holds no fears for either of them. Pavel Silyagin, former WBC silver super middleweight champion, going the 12-round distance to win and retain that title. And Carlos Gongora, of course, the holder of that the holder of that IBO title.
Listen to me. Head up.
Before turning over to the pro ranks, as again on the resumption, it's Silyagin who ensures that he gets off first and just leaving an active conclusion to round number 5 in the minds of the judges, just peppering the belt line. A pinging left jab to conclude that 5th round. Again, it's a joy to behold the quality that we're witnessing here, but this man, I think he's trailing. There's got to be something drastic and urgent to get himself back into contention here. Of course, there is the possibility of ending things inside the distance. He's looking to remain cool under fire, but the punches from Silyagin continuing to come in clusters just made him uncomfortable for a couple of moments.
Seconds out. Секунданты за ринг. 6th round. Round 6.
Round 6 then of a contest scheduled for 8, 79.4 kilograms, just above the 175-pound light heavyweight limit. The right jab was a scoring shot from Carlos Gongora, 2-time Pan Am Games bronze medalist, who must be trailing in this contest. But of his 22 victories, there's another punishing right jab pistoned out by Gongora. Of his 22 victories, 17 have come inside the distance for a 77% KO ratio. So he does have that type of weaponry in his armor, but he's going up against an undefeated boxer tonight. And by definition, they don't know how to lose. So Gongora, who's moved smartly in the pocket there to dip beneath the incoming fire and spin around the target to render his man inaccurate, dropping down with a good stab jab to the body. Silyagin looking to answer with offensive successes upstairs. But he's going to need a big conclusion to the contest, and of course there is always the possibility of taking your man out inside the distance. It's going to be, the onus is going to be on Gongora. Wonderful lead left hand out of the southpaw stance from Gongora to catch Silyagin as he was firing himself. Eye-catching shot, another looping left hand out of the southpaw stance from Gongora, who enjoyed a cracking 3rd round. Again, I don't think it was enough to win the round. Picked off by a strong left jab. Looks to counter with a roundhouse southpaw left, does Gongora. The ring generalship from both. Pleasing indeed. Silyagin pinning Gongora against the ropes. He was square, inviting pressure, and he'd just gone from one set of the ropes to the other. Wonderful portion of the round for Silyagin. A little bit surprised at that tactic employed by Gongora to invite pressure on one set of the ropes, then just go across the ring and take up residence on another set of ropes. So Silyagin putting together a strong conclusion to the round here. And Gongora, footwork just a little untidy as he tottered counterclockwise to his right. Now he's got his stance back beneath him. Oh, look at that work with the right hand. Hooks turned into uppercuts and then bringing the left hand into play, Silyagin. Wonderful forward foray to apply a sustained burst of pressure against Carlos Gongora. So Gongora allowing himself a wry grin, perhaps shooting it in the direction of referee Mr. Valery Pastuhov, saying, well, hold on, you're speaking to me about holding and infringements. Where's your verbal admonishment in the direction of Silyagin? Another quality round, defiant grin of that gum shield from Gongora, but I think it's a round that he will have lost despite having his own moments during the course of that 3-minute frame.
Секунданты заряд. Седьмой раунд. Round 7.
So as we move into round number 7, Carlos Gongora, he needs a massive couple of rounds, or more efficiently, preferably a stoppage. He had success with his southpaw right, countered by a snapping left jab from Silyagin. And again, reverse 1-2, right cross, left jab from Silyagin, getting in between the wide-held gloves of Gongora. And how about that for lead right hands to the body? Sharp, straight, snappy, straight above the belt line. Gongora complaining, and then he's picked off by a right uppercut as he retreated to the ropes once again. Fighting off the ropes, an art in itself, of course, but it hasn't been too effective a tactic for my money from Gongora, and I'm not quite sure what he's complaining to referee Mr. Valery Pastuhov about, because this is the name of the game. Hit without reply as he runs into another jolting left hand from Silyagin. Well, snarled defiantly into the camera as he made his way back to the black corner at the end of round number 6, did Gongora, suggesting that he's got plenty of spirit, fighting spirit and energy left. He's got to demonstrate those qualities in the heat of battle here in the boxing ring, because he must be trailing, as again Silyagin doing an outstanding job moving laterally both left and right around the target. Scores downstairs and up to the head. That trip to the canvas ruled a slip by the referee Mr. Valery Pastuhov. Left jab to the body on the resumption from Silyagin. Well, not quite sure whether Gongora is trying to lay a trap here as he's picked off by a fusillade of punches to both head and body. And this is bad body language coming from Gongora here. He flexed his right glove as though he might have a problem with his hand. His hands came down, he looked to his corner, went walkabout for a little bit. His 3 losses, all of them have come on points against undefeated prospects. That's what he's in the ring against tonight. But he needs a knockout here now, surely. Because he would have to enjoy a dominant final 3.5 minutes, sending his man to the floor repeatedly if he hoped to get back into contention on points. A rather strange interlude here in round number 7 by Carlos Gongora, who's being outscored, outworked, And Pavel Silyagin showing wonderful variety in his full repertoire. He's varied his height beautifully, working effectively to both head and body. And Gongora, well, he's looking at that right hand once again. A little bit of a stumble as he made his way back to the black corner. And this man has got to take his man out of there inside the final 3 minutes, because Silyagin must be ahead by a considerable distance on the scoring cards of the three judges. Another look at some of the action from round number 7. Gongora with a trip to the canvas. That rightly ruled a slip, but just a little bit of negative body language coming from Gongora during the course of that second round. Looking a little bit sorry for himself, and he's got to get himself together here now and go for the knockout if he hopes to have his hand raised as the victor. Remember, this is IBA.PRO boxing, so it won't necessarily go onto his professional record, but he's been met with a stern test against another undefeated prospect tonight. And those are the three men who have bested Carlos Gongora, all brought not only undefeated but perfect records into the boxing ring. I wonder whether this is turning into something of a survival mission here now for Gongora, because again, he's looked at his right hand a couple of times in round number 7. Now he's going for it with the southpaw backhand. Picked off by another piston-like straight shot from Silyagin. Keeping an eye to see how often he's throwing that right hand. He's feinting with it aplenty, as his wits about him to the extent that he can engage in some non-verbal communication with Silyagin's corner. Here you see he throws a southpaw left hand once again, not setting it up with the right hand. I just wonder whether it's been damaged to make it too painful to throw. Because he had his hands full, speculating of course, but if he has injured it, that lead right hand, his hands were full with the variety and movement and ring craft of Pavel Silyagin. And if you're rendered a one-handed fighter because of an injury, well, it makes it an altogether more difficult task. So no signs that Carlos Gongora is going in search of the KO that he needs. And again, the bad body language, at least that's how I saw it from my commentary position, that was coming from him in round number 7. I just wonder whether he has sustained an injury to that southpaw lead right hand. You see how he threw the southpaw left and spun around to end up as an orthodox boxer. There's been very little coming from his lead right hand other than feinting, as his defense is penetrated once again by accurate straight punching from Silyagin, who spun around the target, put his man on the ropes, and then picked him off with another right cross. It's been a very accomplished display from Pavel Silyagin, who's en route to extending his unbeaten professional record. There was a punch without real purpose from the lead right hand of Gongora. And this, even though it's IBA.PRO boxing and again won't necessarily go onto the professional ledgers of the boxers, it will do Pavel Silyagin's confidence a world of good to know that he has gotten the better, and not just got the better, but fairly dominated a former IBO world champion. Oh, that will continue to strengthen his belief. Oh, Carlos Gongora just going walkabout before returning to his black corner. I think he knows that it's not going to be his night. Showed moments of the quality you would expect from a 2-time Olympian, 3-time participant in IBA World Championships, and 2-time Pan Am Games bronze medalist. Pavel Silyagin, when Gongora sought to launch a rally, particularly in the 3rd round where he had a really eye-catching success with a southpaw left cross. Well, thereafter, Silyagin asserted his authority and, dare I say it, dominance once again. And speculating, of course, that he sustained an injury to that right hand, but he was inactive during the course of round number 8. So one suspects it's going to be a unanimous points decision victory in our co-main event for Pavel Silyagin in this contest made just above the light heavyweight limit of 175 pounds. 79.4 kilograms to be exact. Sergei Petrov Grom in position to deliver the announcement after 8 rounds of boxing.
Pavel Silyagin и Gongora в центре ринга. Отведенные им 8 раундов позади. И в этом поединке единогласным решением судей победу одержал Pavel Silyagin. Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of boxing, your winner by unanimous decision, Pavel Silyagin, Russia.
So there's confirmation of a unanimous point decision victory for Pavel Silyagin, the undefeated prospect out of Russia. Showing wonderful movement as he now shares his post-fight thoughts with Sergei Petrov, tonight's MC.
Для телезрителей России это был удивительный бой, где ты как будто бы контролировал все. Это непростой парень, участник 2 Олимпиад, титулованный, с огромным рекордом, и ты просто ничего не позволял ему делать. В чем секрет подготовки? Как строили подготовку к этому бою?
Насчет секретов, это к тренеру. Я просто выполняю то, что он говорит, я ему доверяю. А вообще, начал я с клуба «Спортивная линка», это в городе Новокузнецке, потом клуб «Первомаец», и сейчас клуб «Сузунец» вот с данным тренером Юрием Викторовичем. Всех благодарю за поддержку.
Еще раз подтверждает, что то, что выглядит легко, на самом деле дается большим трудом. Это был Павел Силягин, триумфатор сегодняшнего поединка. На ринге в Бресте он завоевал свою 16-ю.
So Pavel Silyagin sharing his post-fight thoughts with the crowd in attendance here at the Victoria Sports Palace in Brest. Let's take a look at some of the action that earned him a unanimous point decision victory. Carlos Gongora, competitive, particularly in the 3rd round. He did his best work, always in the contest for the first 6 rounds, but not doing enough to win the contest. And then in the 7th round, just appeared a little bit uncomfortable. And in the 8th round, well, his southpaw right hand was almost non-existent in terms of the activity he was able to produce with it. Not a problem for Pavel Silyagin, who showed a wide repertoire of punches, wonderful movement, and real composure during the course of what was a unanimous point decision win.